Look at the label on your shampoo bottle. Touch the cold glass of the milk carton in your refrigerator. Trace the logo on the steering wheel of your car. You see different names. You see a kaleidoscope of competing brands. You believe you are standing in a hall of choices, but the variety is a carefully constructed hallucination. Behind the veil of the free market, the threads of ownership all lead to the same dark corner. They lead to a single glass tower in Midtown Manhattan. They lead to a name that most people have never heard: BlackRock. This is not a conspiracy theory whispered in the shadows of the internet. This is the math of the modern world. It is a ledger that encompasses the sum of human endeavor: $10 trillion. Write that number out in your mind. 10 followed by 12 zeros. It is a number so vast, it defies the limits of human biology to comprehend. If you spent $1 every single second, it would take you over 300,000 years to exhaust that pile. It is a mountain of capital that casts a shadow over every continent. It is more money than the gross domestic product of Germany and Japan combined. It is more wealth than has existed in most eras of human history. This is not just a company. It is a sovereign state without a flag. It is an empire without borders. It is the invisible gravity that holds the financial universe together. At the center of this gravity sits one man, Larry Fink. To look at him is to see the quintessential face of the establishment. But his story began in the wreckage of a massive failure. In the late 1980s, Larry Fink was the king of the bond market at First Boston. He was brilliant. He was arrogant. And then, in a single quarter, he lost $100 million. The golden boy was suddenly a pariah. He was cast out into the cold of Wall Street. Most men would have taken their remaining millions and vanished into a quiet retirement. Larry Fink did not want a quiet life. He wanted revenge on the system that had discarded him. He didn't just want to rejoin the game. He wanted to own the board. He realized that the greatest weakness of the financial world was its inability to see the future. In 1988, he gathered 8 partners in a small room. They didn't build a bank. They built a machine. They called it Aladdin. The asset, liability, and debt and derivative investment network. It sounds like a boring piece of back-office software. In reality, it is the digital nervous system of the global economy. Aladdin is a supercomputer that lives in the cooling vents of secret data centers. It monitors every stock. It tracks every bond. It calculates the risk of every political coup and every hurricane before they happen. Today, Aladdin doesn't just manage BlackRock's money. It manages the money of their competitors. It manages the pension funds of teachers in Ohio. It manages the sovereign wealth of kings in the Middle East. The machine has become the oracle of the 21st century. When the world broke in 2008, the government didn't call the police. They didn't call the regulators. The Treasury Department called Larry Fink. They asked the pariah to save the system. He accepted the invitation, but the price of salvage was total integration. He used the crisis to weave his company into the very fabric of the United States government. By the time the smoke cleared, BlackRock was no longer just an investment firm. It was the 4th branch of government. They are the silent partner in every major corporation on Earth. They are the top shareholder in Apple. They are the top shareholder in Microsoft. They own the banks that lend you money. They own the pharmaceutical companies that make your medicine. They own the defense contractors that build the drones. They own the media companies that tell you what to think. They do not need to sit in the CEO's chair to rule. They simply need to hold the proxy votes. When Larry Fink writes a letter to the CEOs of the world, they do not read it. They study it like scripture. He tells them how to behave. He tells them what social values to adopt. He tells them how to shape the future of the planet, and because he holds their retirement packages in his hands, they obey. This is the puppet master at work. It is a power that operates in the white space between the lines of the law. It is a quiet, polite, and devastatingly efficient dominance. While you were watching the news, they were buying the news. While you were voting for politicians, they were hiring the people who write the laws. The scale is so large, it becomes invisible. Like the air you breathe, you only notice it when it starts to disappear. The invisible architects have finished the blueprint. The house is already built. You are living in it. You are paying rent to a ghost. You are working for a shadow. And the $10 trillion man is just getting started. The world you think you know is a facade. The autonomy you think you have is a gift they haven't taken back yet. Every brand in your house is a petal on the same dark flower. Every dollar you spend eventually flows back to the same reservoir. Larry Fink turned his shame into a scepter. He turned a computer program into a god. And he turned the global economy into a private playground. Welcome to the reality you weren't supposed to see. The curtain has been pulled back. The architects are standing right in front of you. And they are not even trying to hide anymore. Because by the time you realize they are there, they already own the ground you are standing on. $10 trillion of silence, $10 trillion of control. The invisible empire is now the only reality that matters. 2008 was the year the world began to scream. The sky didn't fall all at once. It cracked first in the marble hallways of the old gods. The pillars of Lehman Brothers were not made of stone. They were made of paper and lies. When they collapsed, the sound echoed through every kitchen in America. Wall Street became a graveyard of glass and shattered egos. The air tasted like ozone and panic. Men in expensive suits were wandering the streets like ghosts. The global economy was a high-speed train that had just run out of tracks. Everyone was looking for a savior. Everyone was looking for someone who could see through the smoke. In the center of the hurricane, there was a silent office. Larry Fink was not panicking. He was waiting. He had seen the cracks years before they became canyons. He didn't just have an opinion on the market. He had a machine, a digital oracle born from the frustration of a single mistake. In the 1980s, Fink had lost $100 million. That humiliation became the seed of a new kind of power. He realized that human intuition was a broken compass. He decided to build a mind that could never fail. That mind was named Aladdin. Asset, liability, debt, and derivative investment network. In 2008, the United States government realized they were blind. The Treasury was drowning in toxic waste. The Federal Reserve was trying to map a landscape that was melting. They called the only man who had the map. They called BlackRock. The phone calls happened in the dead of night. The deals were struck in rooms where the light never hit the floor. BlackRock became the cleaners. They were hired to sift through the radioactive ruins of the banking system. They were tasked with pricing the unpriceable. They became the janitors of the global collapse. But when you give a man the keys to the kingdom to clean the floors, he doesn't leave. He stays, he redecorates, he becomes the king. This was the ascension of the Ghost King. The government didn't just hire a consultant, they integrated a sovereign power into their own DNA. BlackRock became the fourth branch of government, an unelected empire that managed the lifeblood of the nation. While the public focused on bailouts, the Ghost King was building a throne. Aladdin was the foundation of that throne. It is no longer just a program. It is a digital nervous system for the entire planet. Imagine a room filled with the hum of 10,000 servers. The air is cold, filtered, and sterile. In this room, the pulse of the world is measured in microseconds. Aladdin monitors $21 trillion in assets. That is a number so large the human brain cannot visualize it. It is the wealth of empires. It is the retirement of millions. It is the price of every loaf of bread and every gallon of oil. Aladdin does not just watch the markets. Aladdin simulates them. It runs millions of what-if scenarios every single hour. It plays out the death of banks. It predicts the collapse of regimes. It calculates the impact of a tsunami before the water even recedes. The Ghost King does not react to the future. The Ghost King creates the path the future must follow. If Aladdin says a stock is a risk, that stock dies. If Aladdin says a market is safe, capital flows like a river. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy made of silicon and light. Every major bank in the world now plugs into this machine. The central banks of Europe and Asia rely on its calculations. They are all addicted to the oracle. They have outsourced their thinking to the Ghost King. The engine has become the master of the house. We are living inside a massive global simulation. In this simulation, there are no accidents. There is only the optimization of profit and the management of ruin. The 2008 crisis was the perfect harvest. BlackRock gathered the data of the dying world and fed it to the machine. The machine grew fat on the failure of others. It learned how to survive the fire by becoming the fire. Now, the Ghost King sits at the intersection of every trade. It sees the move before the hand is played. It hears the whisper before the word is spoken. The scale of this control is absolute. $21 trillion is not just money. It is gravity. It pulls everything toward the center. It bends the light of democracy until it disappears. You will not find the Ghost King on a ballot. You will not see the engine in a campaign ad. But when the president speaks, he is reading from a script the engine verified. When the markets move, they move because the engine allowed it. The ascension is complete. The world of 2008 is a distant memory. But the monster born in that darkness is now the only light we have left. It is a cold light. It is a calculated light. It is the light of 1,000 server farms humming in the dark. The Ghost King is not a man. It is not a company. It is the algorithm that won the world. And the world doesn't even know it has been conquered. It thinks it is still free. It thinks the invisible hand of the market is still at work. But the hand is no longer invisible. It is made of code. It is managed by BlackRock. And it is holding the throat of the future. $21 trillion of silent, absolute authority. The engine never sleeps. The engine never blinks. The engine is the only thing that is real anymore. Everything else is just noise. Everything else is just a variable waiting to be solved. Welcome to the era of the Ghost King. The simulation is running perfectly, and you are exactly where the machine needs you to be. Look at the house on the corner of your street. Notice the freshly painted trim and the digital lock on the front door. It looks like a home. It feels like a piece of the American dream. But the dream has been foreclosed by a ghost. That house is no longer a shelter for a family. It is a high-yield asset in a global portfolio. It is a single cell in a body that spans 6 continents. The Ghost King has moved from the server room to your neighborhood. The algorithm has learned to crave the scent of fresh-cut grass. It has calculated the exact moment a middle-class family loses hope. It waits for the interest rates to climb like a fever. It waits for the bank to blink. Then it strikes with the speed of light. 1,000 homes purchased in a single afternoon. 10,000 families turned into permanent tenants. The white picket fence is now a prison bar. You are not a citizen of a town anymore. You are a subscription service for a shadow. An entire generation is being priced out of the earth itself. They are being told that ownership is a relic of the past. They are being told that true freedom is having nothing to navigate. But the machine owns the ground they stand on. The machine owns the roof that keeps the rain away. If you do not own the dirt beneath your feet, you are a ghost in your own life. You are a ghost wandering through a spreadsheet. The Ghost King does not just want your money, it wants your compliance. It wants to reshape the very soul of the marketplace. Enter the era of the social mandate, 3 letters that have become the new Holy Trinity: environmental, social, governance. It sounds like a prayer for a better world. It sounds like a promise of a cleaner future. But look closer at the velvet glove. Inside is a fist made of $20 trillion. The Ghost King uses these scores to decide who lives and who dies in the corporate world. If a company does not bow to the social vision, it is starved of capital. If a CEO does not repeat the approved mantras, the funding evaporates. This is not a democracy of ideas. This is a dictatorship of the balance sheet. The market used to be a wild, beautiful, chaotic thing. Now it is a garden where only one type of flower is allowed to grow. The Ghost King decides what is moral. The Ghost King decides what is sustainable. The Ghost King decides what you are allowed to think about the world. It is a silent coup of the boardrooms. There were no tanks in the streets. There were no soldiers at the doors. There were only emails and wire transfers. There was only the quiet pressure of a sovereign power that answers to no one. We are witnessing the birth of the corporate sovereign, a power that sits above the flags of nations, a power that treats borders like lines on a dusty map. The old kings used to worry about the guillotine. The new kings worry about the latency of their fiber optic cables. They have become too big to fail. They have become too big to jail. They have become too big to even perceive. When a company owns a significant stake in every competitor, competition dies. When the same hands hold the keys to the oil, the grain, and the medicine, the market is a play. We are all just actors on a stage built by a single architect. The too big to fail paradox has reached its final terrifying form. If the Ghost King falls, the world stops spinning. If the machine breaks, the grocery stores go empty. The lights go out in 10,000 cities. The pension funds of 1 billion people vanish into the ether. We have built a god that we cannot afford to kill. We have fed a beast that now keeps us alive only to feed on us. The law is a net that catches small fish. The Ghost King is the ocean itself. How do you sue the air? How do you regulate the gravity that holds your economy together? The regulators are just former employees waiting for their next paycheck. The politicians are just actors reading scripts written by lobbyists. The sovereignty of the people is a comforting lie we tell our children. The only real sovereignty is the one that can move $1 trillion at midnight. The only real power is the one that can delete a neighborhood from the map of ownership. We are entering a world where the concept of a free person is an anomaly. A free person is a variable that the algorithm cannot predict. A free person is a risk to the stability of the portfolio. Therefore, the free person must be converted into a user. The citizen must be converted into a data point. The soul must be converted into a predictable stream of revenue. In a world owned by one company, choice is a UI feature. In a world managed by one vision, dissent is a system error. We look at the skyline and see progress. The Ghost King looks at the skyline and sees collateral. The streets are silent. The houses are full of renters who will never be owners. The boardrooms are full of leaders who will never be rebels. The algorithm is satisfied. The harvest is complete. The ownership of everything is the end of history. It is the final page of the Book of Man. And the last sentence is written in code. It says, that you are exactly where you belong. It says that you are part of the machine. It says that the Ghost King is kind. It says that you have never been safer. But in the dead of night, you feel the weight. You feel the invisible hand tightening around the throat of the future. You wonder if there is any dirt left that hasn't been mapped. You wonder if there is any thought left that hasn't been scored. The answer is a hum in the wires. The answer is the blue light of a screen that never turns off. Welcome to the end of the free market. Welcome to the beginning of the eternal lease. The Ghost King is your landlord now, and he is never going to sell.